the very first advice would be to find out who is my customer, focus on the customer, work hard. Do not be obsessed about seed money or fundraising.
Today, I have the pleasure to welcome in the studio Bob Kneip, who is a Luxembourgish entrepreneur. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have Bob here in the studio. Just for those who are not familiar, he started his career in '87 in Sodexo. I think you created Sodexo in Luxembourg, and you worked there until '91. Then you worked for a German company active in wood construction called VK. And after that, you worked at IP, the RTL arm selling advertisement to media. And finally, in '93, you founded your own company called Kneip that you sold in 2022 to Deutsche Börse Group.
Indeed.
So, first question I would like to ask you, you've been through those decades active in entrepreneurship non-stop. So how do you analyze the current entrepreneurship ecosystem in Luxembourg?
A lot has changed over the past 30 years. In early days, there were some public and even private initiatives to support entrepreneurship in Luxembourg, but they were quite difficult to access. So it was more about your determination and, I would say, the friends, family that would support you in early days when you started your company. Now I see there's an absolutely fantastic ecosystem and a great ease of access that we didn't have in those days.
So you would say that there's no more barrier to entry?
I think the barrier to entry is always the same, and it starts with the entrepreneur himself. It is his concept. Is it simple? Is it simple to explain? Is it simple to bring to market? And I think that's what's lacking a lot today. I see more young entrepreneurs who call me up and visit, and they are obsessed by raising money. And I'd like to hear more about their market and their customers and what they think they will do in order to make those customers happy and to bring growth to their company.
Okay, so they're immediately focusing on the exit or at least a very high valuation to, let's say, monetize an idea rather than monetize first the expertise, you would say.
Yes, what is it that I will do? What's my vision, first of all? I have to start off with that. And what is the value system I want to evolve in? Am I building this to make this world a better place or to make a group of people happy? I think that's something that you need to determine from the outset, and then, first of all, help yourself before seeking help from others.
Very good. Could we consider also that the fact that it's so easy today to start a company? I mean, you basically go in a co-working place. I think you can create any company quite fast. Is this also removing the potential filter, or do you think this was never really a question of filtering? It's just the hardest working people thrive, and in the end, whatever happens?
It's a combination. It's a combination of several things. You might have a lower barrier to entrance, so you might access entrepreneurship a lot faster. What it also means is that your concept and your go-to-market strategy might not be quite thought through the way it should be. And then, well, the proof is in the pudding. It's all in execution. It's what you do and how much about what you do. What I am lacking with a lot of projects that I'm seeing today is, what is my universe? In what pond do I want to go fish? And what are the type of fish I want to take out of that pond? And then ultimately, how am I going to do this?
Very good. So let's maybe go into your own experience. You were running Kneip for several decades. What are the main lessons that you have learned that you could share with us today?
Well, I was very fortunate because I was surfing the wave of a growing market, be the investment fund industry in Luxembourg, and supporting them in what we still call cross-border distribution. There was a high degree of complexity of dealing with various information channels, being compliant to multiple regulations, satisfying our customers' needs, and helping them make their clients happy. So it was very fortunate in those days to enter. What we have difficulties imagining today is in those days, in '93, it was an exclusively paper-run business, which still grew up to 2006. And that's not that much, that's not a long time ago, where we started going more and more electronic, and now, well, basically everything's about digital.
Yeah, and I remember witnessing your company grow. First, you were above the interview in the city center with a few people. Then you were in Zandweiler. Then you were also at the same time in the city center.
Yes.
Then you moved to Kirchberg. Then you moved to Bertrand. Just kept growing. And at the same time, the fund industry went from 1 trillion to 5.9 trillion. So let's say if you had to do it over again today, without this massive growth of AUMs in Luxembourg, what would you do? Is it still feasible to grow a big company without having a thriving market?
Yes, it is. You determine, first of all, what it is that you want to achieve. What's my vision? And every now and then you have to put it down into facts, figures, objectives, KPIs. And any way you put it, it's a numbers game. So the larger your universe, the larger your leads, your opportunities, and then the closings that will ultimately result thereof. It doesn't happen by itself.
And of course, how do you set your limit between a very niche market where you've got only, let's say, 20 leads, and of course it's make or break, or a massive market where you've got thousands of leads, but then of course, even if you conquer 50 of them, you're still almost irrelevant in this market in terms of market share?
First of all, I think I'd like to make a distinction between B2C and B2B business. I feel far more comfortable in the B2B space. And I feel far more comfortable in a space where there's a lot of potential clients, and there might be some players. Because there's nothing more challenging than competition.
So you basically try to find a market where you can thrive without having to reduce your margin or fight destructing competition, basically.
That's not the ultimate objective. Competition keeps you on your toes. They give you sort of a benchmark of the market and tell you where you can do things better in order to make your clients, and we're in a B2B environment, their clients happier. So first of all, and this can reflect in many different instances, it's not only about price. Price obviously is a determining factor. What I do not like about winning market share through price is you win through price, you will lose through price. Then it is about the ultimate value add. What do you bring your client? Closer time to market, more consistency, more reliability. We were in the data business. Well, it's all about timeliness, accuracy, and consistency.
And do you think that there's also in this digital world an alignment of values, of cultures?
There is in many instances. And this is something that we should still further build on. Determine what are the values that you want to live, according to which you want to live, your company to live, to thrive, and your people to look up to. Because you can define millions of rules. You define 4 key, basic, or 5 values according to which you want to live. It's far easier to connect as well your customers, your teams, and your business partners around common values.
Yeah, and to keep them motivated and driven, not just a week or a month, but during years, non-stop. Let's go maybe to your best memories. Can you share with us, over those years, what was one of the best experience you've had and why?
There were so many brilliant experiences, I wouldn't know where to start. The first, well, in early days, when you start the company, it's a struggle for life. During 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you don't know if you're going to make it or not. So the very first memory I had is when there was a crossroads in '97, so I had been there for 4 years, and I was told, you know, guess what, this thing is not going to fly. That day, I just sat down, looked at my client base, at my sales funnel, and just had killer meetings every day. 5, 6, 7, 8 meetings every day, all day long, and did lots of the preparatory work during the weekends. And then all of a sudden, poof, there was something that happened. A customer told me, you are publishing our legal ads in the press, so you know the press internationally, and you do our fact sheets, so you know our products. Would you agree to publish or to take care of the management of the publishing of our fund prices, the NAVs in the press? And that was in March 1998. And that was actually the key trigger that kicked off the development of the company for us to ultimately become in 2006 the largest editor of NAVs or fund prices worldwide.
So this was just after, let's say, a moment of precarity where
Yes.
you were fearing for your survival, and it gave you this extra motivation maybe to dig deeper and make it happen.
Yes, dig deeper and work harder. It's also, I said it earlier, it's a numbers game.
Indeed.
The more you put into the funnel, the luckier you are.
If we go on the other side of the spectrum, your worst memory, your biggest mistake.
Oh, there's been many. For instance, I take it from a strategic point of view. The biggest strategic bad choice I made over the life cycle of the company, we were a lot talking about digitization. My interpretation of digitization was create a platform for our customers where they could manage their business themselves, manage their data, collect data, integrate data, produce reports, make them available or disseminate.
Sounds
That was my belief. So we created that form and did massive investments, and it took time. It took time that we didn't look after our clients enough during this transformation phase to ultimately then find out that they didn't want a digital tool. They wanted the service that was tech enabled.
So, okay, very well understood. Perfect. If we look now into the present, of course, it's hard to compare today and 2010 or 2000 or 1990, but which opportunities do you identify for Luxembourg, especially in the entrepreneurship or startup scale-up segments?
There is a determination among younger people and less young people to start their own business, to be master of their destiny. And I would say you're never as dependent as when you are independent. So I think there should be an acknowledgement of the people who want to set up their own business that this is a tough job. It's going to take a lot of energy, building down frustrations, a lot of time, input, and that you better be sure that you want to give that type of input to your project before actually doing so. So as opportunities, I think our ecosystem is right. Why? Because it's so easy in Luxembourg to have access to multiple sources, be it our administrations, be it our ministries, be it even C-level contacts in any corporation, be it some financing facilities that might be available or giving, and all of this as long as you don't forget who your God is, and that's the client. And everything should evolve around the client.
And one question for you. I have always the perception that there's a blind spot in our ecosystem, and this is where fundraising happens. I'll give you an example. I meet here a lot of people who come from Romania or from a lot of countries, brilliant entrepreneurs, and when you talk to them, they all tell you, I came to Luxembourg because I thought it would be the best place to raise money, like VCs or PE. And it makes sense because we have a very big private equity ecosystem. We're a financial center. So from an external point of view, raising funds out of Luxembourg makes a lot of sense. The reality is it's not really happening. What people find here is subsidies, or you've got small initiatives like Elban who can do a little bit of fundraising, but it's not massive. Don't you think we should just make the myth become a reality and turn Luxembourg into a fantastic fundraising domicile?
Could be. The misbelief about Luxembourg is that Luxembourg, specifically in the financial center, in the PE and VC world, is a huge and one of the biggest back offices in the world. So having your domicile in Luxembourg for these products makes a hell of a lot of sense and will in the future. Now, the investment teams and the analysts, they're not necessarily here. What has changed over time? I did a first fundraising round with an English private equity firm back in 2007, which was 3i. And all of these private equity firms, they didn't know so much about Luxembourg. What I think has changed between in the last 15 years is now there's an awareness that there are companies in Luxembourg worthwhile investing in, although you might not find the funding locally.
Yes, we have a great example with Salon Key, who made history,
Fantastic.
raising 35 million euro recently, and we know why. They are extremely good at launching new markets and monetizing them, so that's of course a great example. So maybe the missing link is also to attract the best possible project out of Europe, because we know private equity professionals are very picky. You really need very spectacular metrics if you want to get their money.
Yes, they've been mostly in the traditional world, working according to a certain number of metrics. You know, what is your growth, what's your EBITDA, how much net profit can you make, what's your cash generation capability, what's the number of clicks or hits that you get. And I think it's a combination. It's a combination of multiple factors. It's not about only what a given concept can bring, it is also what it has proven to have brought to date.
Yes.
That is a fundamental. It's not just about castles in the sky or in the air. It's about facts of a proven business model. For me, the best proof of a business model is you have onboarded clients and they are paying for the service.
You're sending invoices, for sure. And this surely explains the shift. And we saw that the previous government was focusing on startups. It was a startup nation of Xavier Bettel. The new one with Lex Deles in the Ministry of Economy is now focusing on scale-ups. So I would imagine they're working very hard to attract profitable or cash-generating companies to Luxembourg, where I hope the ecosystem will mature and make the next champion. Mr. Kneip, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.